Welcome back, guys. In this video I'm going to talk about some formulas that are extremely important to solve the questions regarding problems and different problems regarding profit and loss. So first things first, so formulas, because for any math you must know the formulas. So let's go for some formulas here. So what are going to be the formulas to solve those problems? So let us begin with some basic thing about the profit and loss. And most of us know profit and loss in little extent, so it will be easier to work with profit and loss problems. But sometimes they become really critical, so we need to know certain amount of formulas to do those mathematical problems, to solve those problems pretty faster that we require to do during the exam. Okay, so let's begin with so always profit and loss. So let me write profit is there, loss is there. And what we talk about when we talk about profit and loss, the major important thing we always want to talk about is two important things. One is the cost price, and second one is the selling price. Cost price, let's write it CP. Selling price, let's write it SP. So these are the two important things using which we determine whether we get a profit or we get a loss. So let's say the cost price is 5 for an article, but the selling price is 7 for the article. So ultimately it's a loss for selling it, because you're selling it in high price, then you get it. Selling price is 7, so it's not a loss, it's a profit, because you're selling it in high price than the cost price. So definitely if the selling price is greater than the cost price, it's a profit, and if the selling price is less than cost price, it's a loss, right? Suppose you buy something in 5 okay, and you sell it in 3 rupees, or in dollar, whatever your currency is. But if you buy it in 5 units, sell it in 3 units, it's a loss, right? So this is the major thing to look for. So for profit, so how to calculate profit? So net profit calculation will be selling price minus cost price. This is going to be the profit, and if this value is positive one, so it's obviously a profit. Now if selling price minus cost price is a negative value, if it's a negative value, then it's loss. But if it's a positive value, then it's a profit, right? That's the major thing about looking these problems. Okay, so if you are having a loss, you will be having negative value of SP minus CP. If you are having profit, a positive value of SP minus CP. So that's it. Now in all these cases of the percentage, now this is about the basic idea of profit and loss. Now if we talk about the percentage value, because that's what puzzles the students most. So what is the percentage value for that? It's called the percent gain or percent loss, right? Again, percent gain means profit, percent loss means obviously loss. So how to calculate those things? Now those percentage calculation always based on the cost price. Remember, always they're based on the cost price. They're determined using the value of cost price. So let's do it. So let's say the percent gain. How to figure out the percent gain? The percentage gain or gain percentage is simply gain divided by the cost price into 100. This is going to be the gain percentage. So remind you, I've told you that this percentage gain or percentage loss, whatever, these things are always based on the cost price. That's why you see the cost price is here. Okay, now percent loss, same thing for percentage loss. So percent loss, you get the formula loss by cost price into or multiplied by 100, right? This is how people calculate percent gain or percent loss, but in both the cases they use cost price as the base to calculate these things. Okay, these are the major things you should know. Now let's talk about the percentage using selling prices. This is another ray of different questions come from this part. So it's the selling price and cost price equations. You can write selling price in many different ways actually. So what are the different ways to write that? So if we need to write selling price or SP, how can we write it? We can write that SP is simply 100 plus the gaining percent divided by 100 into the cost price. This is equals to the selling price. Okay, so this is the formula. Now for selling price calculation, why we use this 100 in bottom? Why? Because if we break it down, what we get? We get 100 by 100, then we get gain percentage here by also 100, and finally into the cost price there. So what we get here, this is also into cost price. So finally we get cost price. Now gaining percentage divided by percentage, so it's finally the percentage will cross each other out, so we finally get the gaining plus the cross price, so that is the selling price, right? So selling price, remind you here, selling price is the gain plus the cost price. That's the thing, right? So selling price means gaining or the extra money that you get plus the cost price. That's the selling price. So that thing is simply written in some slightly rearranged form here, and that is given here as 100 plus gain percentage divided by 100 into the cost price, right? So that is it. You don't need to memorize all these things. You don't need to remember how this formula came and everything, but just try to know that this is a way of calculating that, because if you memorize these things during your calculation, it will be super easy. Okay, so once you solve 2 or 3 different problems regarding this, it will be very easier for me and for you guys also to calculate. Okay, so now the second way of writing this, another way of writing this. So let me don't write it second. So let's say this is the first way of writing this. The second, another way of writing this is you can simply write 100, but instead of adding the gaining price, you can simply delete the loss percentage. These are the same things, similarly into multiplied by the cost price, right? So both the things are same. Both of these values, doing this and doing this, are the same thing, because you add a gain percentage and delete a loss percentage. In both the ways, these things will give you the selling price. Okay, these are the same. So now let's move on to the cost price equation. Similarly, we can also do it for cost price equation. So for cost price equation, what we can do, we can simply take it like 100. Remember, for the cost price, it will be 100 divided by 100 plus gain. All this thing that we have done, it will be inverted now, gain percentage, into cost price. And remember, whatever you're calculating, either you're calculating the selling price, you're calculating the cost price, whatever you're calculating the percent loss or calculating the percent gain, in all this case, everything is based on the cost price. This is very important. So if they provide you cost price, they almost provide you everything, because you can calculate every bit of it using that cost price. But if they didn't provide you any cost price in the exam or in the question, you need to first get through to form this cost price. Once you understand the cost price, it will be super easy for you. So here it goes. So it's just opposite. Now similarly, we can write it another way. We can write it like this: 100. Now we can write it 100 minus the loss percentage, because these things are the same thing. 100 plus gain, 100 minus loss. So plus gain and minus loss are the same again, into again cost price. So we can write this cost price using this simple ways. And remember, if we look at this difference, what we get it here, that for the selling price and for the cost price, the formula is, in the first place, is simply inverted. This first region is simply inverted. Okay, and they are definitely multiplied by the cost price. So these are the formulas. Though it seems to be a little bit complicated for you right now, but once you solve 2, 3, 4, 5 questions regarding this, it will be very easy for you. And it's a bet that this formula is going to help you to solve the problems very quickly. Okay, so this is kind of it. And another important concept that I want to tell, it's not a formula, it's a concept. That concept is, if it is told that an article is sold at a gain, say an article is sold at a gain of 35%. For example, it is telling you that the article is sold at a gain of 35%. So what is going to be the selling price? The selling price is 135, right? Now if it say the article is sold at a loss of 35%, then the selling price here is 65, because it will be 100 minus 35, because it's a loss. If it's a gain by 35%, it is the addition of 35 with 100, or it will be the 135, right? So these are the different formulas that you remind to know for solving those equations and for solving those problems. Okay, so that's kind of it, and I hope that's helpful, guys. Thank you.